everybody, welcome back. I'm Dorothy. I'm a professional astrologer. You can find me on the web at nhastrologer.com. Click that little letter I in the corner of this video and the drop down card will bring you right to my website. So today I want to talk about the month of August, and I'll do this for each of the zodiac signs. But as a preference, I want you to take quick notes here and remember these things first, and then I'm going to get into each individual sign. Got quite a few things going on in August. I've got at least 20 things to talk about. But a couple of the main things that are going on that are very, very important is this whole month we still have Venus in her retrograde motion in the sign of Leo. And with Venus retrograde, this is that time period where we're reevaluating our values, we're reevaluating some love relationships and partnerships, and we really can be even working on our own self-esteem and our own values and the things that we value just personally about ourselves, because that Venus energy does represent very personal energy. All right, so keep that in mind when I talk about Venus throughout the specifics of each of these videos. And I also want to mention that in the first couple weeks, the first week's actually pretty much close to the first 10 days of August, we have quite a few planets at the final 1 or 2 degrees of each of their respective zodiac signs, and mainly it's Saturn at 28 Scorpio, Venus and Jupiter are both at the 28 and 29th degree of Leo. And when we have these energies, when planets are at the end of the zodiac signs, it creates a sense of urgency. So up until I talk about August 11th, before then, Venus and Saturn and Jupiter transits are all going to have a feeling of urgency around them. So just remember that. And let me get to the details of what's going on now. Okay? All right. Okay, so let's start right off with the sign of Aries. Now, Aries, on August 1st and August 2nd, we have Saturn as a stationary planet, and it's moving direct, so stationary direct at 28 degrees of Scorpio. Now, when Saturn's at that in Scorpio, we've already gone through examining our commitments and re-examining our commitments. It was in Scorpio for 2.5 years, moved into Sag for just a short period of time, and has now over the last couple months been in the sign of Scorpio. Will be there for 1 more month. But while it's at this 28th degree and at a stationary position, this is going on in your solar 8th house. And when you have, as an Aries, and you have all this Scorpio energy going on, what it's talking about is a lot of transformation that's needing to happen in your personal finances, the financial things that are all about money, and money that you owe or money that you can borrow, and even your deep personal transformations. If you've really been working on something that's very deep, very transformational, like shamanism, something that's super psychological and very, very deep for you, you could be going through that and having that final peek, that final look at what's going on. So we're really having to examine a few things here, and it may be related to money that you owe, or it could be related to a very deep inner personal transformation, regeneration process that you might have going on for yourself. It's not very comfortable for an Aries to have this this activity in the 8th house. Because it doesn't move naturally with whom you are as an Aries, okay? Now, we also have, and here's a whole list of different aspects that we have going on August 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. We have a whole bunch of different things, so I'm going to kind of put them all together. All right, so I'll have to look at my notes because I can't remember everything. So we have Venus making, and Mercury and Jupiter all making square aspects to Saturn, which also means that in this time period we have Venus and Mercury conjunct, and we also have Venus and Jupiter conjunct. So what do we get with all of this? All of this goes on, excuse me, Aries, in your 5th house through your 8th house. We all know Saturn's already in that 8th house of transformation. I just mentioned that. All of the Leo energy is in your 5th house, and that is where you're being creative. The ego loves to be expressed when we have activity in that 5th house, and that's what's going on for you. So Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter are all moving through your 5th house of creativity, that ego expression. What am I passionate about? Venus and Jupiter conjunct on the 4th of August is the second time they've been conjunct. They were conjunct on the 1st of July, and now they're conjunct again, and with the energy of that at the 28th degree of Leo. It's time for us to truly examine, what our relationships are about. Did you give too much? Have you given not enough? What's going on in your relationships? Because I'm talking about Venus, and then I'm also talking about money piece, because Venus represents our values and finances and how we use our skills and our talents to earn a living. Now Jupiter is like a magnifying glass, and it produces energy. It increases the energy and magnifies it. So Jupiter and Venus connecting, Mercury and Jupiter connecting, all says that we're overactive with our minds, we're overactive with the communication, we've been overactive or maybe we've given too much love. All of this comes from the 5th house and goes into the 8th house, and that square energy between those 3 planets, Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter, squaring Saturn, it's asking us to, have we gone too far with something? And how can we pull that back? And if we can't, we're at least being made aware of where we've overstepped our bounds or where we've bitten off more than we can chew. All right? Okay. So what's next? What's next? On the 8th, we have Mars moving into the sign of Leo. So we have this switch on the same day. We have Mercury shifting out of Leo into Virgo, and then we have Mars shifting out of the sign of Cancer and moving into Leo. So we have a shift on that day on the 8th of August. And all of that, again, Mars moving into Leo means it's moved into your 5th solar house. And again, there's a lot of activity where you want to be passionate, where you want to be creative. That's even the area of the chart that's about love affairs. But put a slash in there, it's also about children and the creativity that we have with them and the fun that we want to have. So personal expressions through creativity is one of the key things that will be going on for the next few weeks while Mars moves through Leo in your 5th house. On the 11th of August, Jupiter does finally move out of the sign of Leo and moves into Virgo, into your solar 6th house. Again, this means over the next year, with Jupiter in Virgo, in that sector for you, that definitely is a major focus on your health, and it is a positive focus on your health. If there's any issues that you have, then with Jupiter transiting through that sector, you will be able to take care of yourself better and maybe come up with a new regimen or regime or a way of eating better, eating healthier. Jupiter in Virgo, it's not happy in the sign of Virgo. That is its detriment, because Jupiter is big, Virgo is minute. So Jupiter wants things to be huge and overdone, and that Virgo's holding it back, saying, nope, not now. So it's going to take a little adjusting to get used to Jupiter in that sign of Virgo, in its detriment, in your solar 6th house. And that starts on the 11th of August, and it typically takes a year for it to move through each zodiac sign, so it will take around that time period for you. All right, so focus on your health, start eating differently, start eating better, start getting some type of daily routine going on for yourself as far as exercise, physical exercise, or if meditation is something that's important for you, figure out how you can do it every day. This is something about our everyday routine that needs to really be looked at and shifted and changed over the next year. All right, and all of that in the meantime makes that square to Saturn, and while it's squaring Saturn, it definitely says that we need to transform and change something about what we think is our foundation, what our foundational piece is. All right, on the 14th of August, we have the new moon in Leo, so at 21 degrees of Leo. At the new moon, though, that means the sun is there as well. Venus is also at 21 degrees. They're all really conjunct. All three planets are conjunct, the sun, the moon, and Venus. Venus is still retrograde. I will put a separate report up for that, so you can watch that when we get closer to that time period. Just keep an eye out for that on this channel and on my website. On the 19th of August, Venus in Leo retrograde, making a trine aspect to Uranus, who's also retrograde in Aries. That kind of goes from, that does, not kind of, it goes from the first house to the fifth house. So here we're looking for some freedom. We're looking for some level of freedom. That Aries energy represents freedom. With Aries in your first house, you are definitely trying to break free from some very old routines and old patterns. So cutting edge, new energy. Venus retrograde, again, just means that it's about old relationships, old karma, old ways of financially looking at things. You're going to be coming up with some fresh new ideas. Please be open for new ideas. The easy aspects can usually pass us by without us even noticing them, so take care and really look for some opportunities if you need some shifts and changes in those two departments. All right? Next, on the 23rd, we have the sun entering the sign of Virgo, and that is, again, your sixth house. So your daily routine, once again, has a attention set to it by the sun illuminating that area for the next month. And as that happens, that will just help you to focus back in on what your daily routine is about. Some people start going back to school in that period. At least in the United States, we go back to school the end of August, early September, so getting back to a daily routine is very, very important, and the sun moving into Virgo this time of year is also very helpful for that. On August 26th, the sun and Jupiter in your sixth house are conjunct, so that doesn't happen that often. That happens once every 12 years. So the sun in Virgo, conjunct Jupiter in Virgo, it's once a year, once every 12 years. And so when we have that in that area for you who have Aries rising, this energy is definitely a focus on you. You might have a hard time getting back into your old routine, at least the old routine that you need to get into, because of summertime is rolling down to an end, and we need to start getting into something that's more regular again, because we had so much Leo energy and so much fun. On the 29th of August is the full moon at 6 degrees of Pisces. That, and I will give you more information on that as well in a separate video when that comes out, when we get closer to that time period. But that full moon in Pisces is in your 12th house. So there is a level of intuitiveness that's going to be you made aware of, things that you have kept kind of close to your chest, things you don't really want to look at or work on. Some of these things will be illuminated for you on some emotional level or a psychological level, because on the next day the sun is opposite Neptune, and Neptune is the one in Pisces. It's in charge of Pisces, in charge of the 12th house. So this full moon is right next to Pisces, Neptune in Pisces. So that just means that the last couple of days, the last 3 days of August, will be very, very intuitive, very psychic. We might have a hard time really focusing on anything that isn't related to spirituality, to music. Music is part of this Neptunian Piscean energy of this full moon, and the sun opposite Neptune. So there's a lot of fog at the last few days of August. We're not sure exactly what we're going to do with it. Again, that comes from your daily routine, and it goes up into that 12th house for you Aries, and represents making a daily routine out of meditation. That'd be the best way to use that. So, how's that? All right. I'm going to leave you with that. Come back and check out the videos when we get closer to the new moon and the full moon. I have a great membership option on my website. Please come and see that as well. And come find me. I do lots of great things. Please come just check the website out. I don't want to make this a commercial. Thank you very much, and I want to say blessed be and namaste.